Hello and welcome to our online course for educators of aging adults with intellectual disabilities. In this video, we are going to see how to use MNAM Platform. Triade 2.0 project is an Erasmus Plus funded project in which we have developed the My New Aging Me platform. This platform is a tool to help educators and other professionals to improve social inclusion and the quality of life of aging adults with intellectual disabilities. The objectives of this platform are to provide tools and materials, sources for developing and maintaining the factors of well-being, social participation and independence, to ease the navigation through educational materials and resources, and to homogenize the practical resources and guidelines for implementing exercises with textual and visual information. The contents of the platform are classified into three hierarchical levels. The first hierarchical level are the factors, representing the high-level classification of all the concepts. The three factors that we are going to develop in this platform are well-being, social inclusion, and independent living. The second hierarchical classification refers to the units, which develop specific theoretical material related to each of these three factors. The platform contains currently 4 didactic units, and each of them contains several subtopics to work on these dimensions. The third level is built up by exercises, which contain practical information to perform activities with aging adults with intellectual disability and to put into practice the knowledge and the competences we have seen in previous hierarchical levels. Let's do an introductory walk through the contents of the units to have a clearer view of the topics that can be developed. The first factor is well-being and contains units to develop many skills related to the personal, emotional, and material well-being, such as when we move to another place, when we have to adapt our context, the assistive technologies, how to perform and maintain healthy lifestyle, and how to understand the process of aging and the process of aging for people with intellectual disabilities, and to identify the risk of abuse. The factor of social participation relates to the capacity of developing interpersonal relationships and to use shared resources into our community, including topics such as getting in touch with family, relatives, and other persons in our context, how to perform post-retirement activities, and how to socially engage with our environment. Finally, it contains some tips on how to use the social media to build virtual links. The final factor, independent living, contains 4 units, which includes learning about how to make our own decisions and our own choices to take informed decisions, preferences, and opinions. How can we choose appropriate goals, life goals and activities that are important to us, and also confronting the fact that we are entering in a set of our life in which we are aging, and of course the cognitive development is not as other stages of our life, and importantly choosing our preferences for life, for end-of-life care, such as use of palliative care and so on. All the units from these 3 factors are introductory concepts to the key elements that the educator should know before putting into practice the exercises. These exercises, currently built up by 64 different exercises, contain different information. From a pedagogical perspective, each exercise is started by a theoretical framework which puts the ground of the exercise, then the pedagogical instructions to develop this activity, and then the learning outcomes that are aimed to achieve when implementing this exercise. These 3 pedagogical elements are aimed to give the educators a general perspective on how to implement this activity, but of course all these exercises have been designed to give the educator the freedom to adapt these exercises and to choose which exercises they want to put into practice, depending on the context and, of course, the aging adults with intellectual disabilities. So these exercises have not been designed to be used directly by the aging adults with intellectual disabilities, and an educator is encouraged to be always present, guiding this process with the clients. Therefore, professionals or educators can freely use all these exercises the best way they want, depending on the needs of the context and of the persons with intellectual disabilities. Once we have seen the main concepts of the platform, let's do 2 exercises to put into practice all the knowledge on how to use the MNAM platform. The first exercises will last around 20 minutes, and we suggest to perform it with a mate, another educator or another professional from your daycare center. Open a browser, go to the MNAM platform, and then click on Unit 2, Exercise 1, Difficulties in the activities of daily living. On the platform, read all the instructions of the unit, download all the materials related to the exercise, and then discuss with your peer. Are the learning outcomes relevant for the target group you are working with? Is the exercise completely and fully described, or there are gaps in the description you may want to fill up? How would you like to work with your clients, individually or in group? And most important, what do you expect from your clients whenever you have developed this exercise in the short and in the mid-term? Another exercise to get familiar with the platform consists on using the navigation tools. So now open again the platform, and using all the navigation items we have seen in the top menu or in the hyperlinks that appear on each factor, unit or exercise page, go and search, find exercise that match with the following criteria. They should work the dimensions of social inclusion, can be implemented individually, and should last in between 15 to 30 minutes. Once we have seen how to use the MNAM platform, it's important to highlight that there is a corner in which the educators can find several resources to make the work easier. These resources for educators corner contains information on how to transfer the knowledge that aging adults with intellectual disability have acquired into their own personal life, what we call the transference. Information about the validation methodology we have used in the project, the workbook for the educators containing the 4 units in which this online course has been developed, and tips on how to develop accessible content, which is crucial when developing the materials to be put into practice. Before finishing, it's important to highlight that professionals are free to use the units and the exercise based on their personal and contextual needs, so they can adapt these exercises to get the most of them. And moreover, it's also important to highlight that this platform does not include tools or methodologies for evaluating if the aging adults with intellectual disability are reaching the learning outcomes. So all these tasks are on the hand of the educators to know which is the progress of the aging adults with intellectual disabilities. Thank you very much for your attention.